Hey everybody, if you're new here, I'm Matthew Braxton, and if you're coming back, welcome back. This is a new thing I'm trying, a Goosebumps book club per se, where every other week, or however long it's gonna take for me to pump these out, I think this one's a month after, sorry. But every new video, I will read a book before and then talk about it. And I know I'm a nerd, but this is what we're doing. So yes, this time we read Stay Out of the Basement, so if you haven't read it, spoiler warning, pause the video, go read it if you want, otherwise I'll do my best to describe it for you. So let's begin. So it starts off with a girl named Margaret, and her dad, Dr. Brewer, just got fired from his job and is starting to do experiments down in the basement. Now the kids notice that the dad is acting a little weird. Like, it starts off with him just screaming at them to not go in the basement, which is weird. I mean, it's your own house, like you'd think you'd be able to go in the basement, but whatever. Margaret caught him eating plant food. He had a cut dripping with green blood. They discovered that he started wearing a baseball cap because he had leaves growing out of his head, which he claimed was a side effect. And the worst thing was that he slept in a bed filled with dirt and worms. Like, So Margaret and her brother Casey eventually noticed that the dad's boss came and visited to check on the experiments because this guy wanted to rehire Dr. Brewer. So he came and visited him, and then all of a sudden he just like went missing. In the book, it didn't really give a lot of information about how he went missing, but the TV version showed that the wife was calling like, hey, have you guys seen my husband? Like, it kind of filled it out more. Like, well, they renamed the guy. Like, it went from Mr. Martinez to something else, but it made him seem like a more full character than just a plot device. But anyway, so the kids noticed that the boss went missing or never went home. So they went downstairs to kind of investigate, and they found Dr. Martinez or Mr. Martinez and a copy of the dad locked in a storage closet. Now, this was really predictable for me because right in the beginning of the book, the kids said that they heard moaning coming from the storage closet, and since the dad was kind of acting different, it's kind of obvious that the two would have been like swapped out or something. Like, it was pretty predictable, and I've never read the book before. So naturally that means that Margaret and Casey both had to figure out which father was the right one, and they had a hold of an axe to like use against the wrong father, and they actually cut the plant dad in half. Like in a kid's book, they chopped somebody in half. And I get it was a monster, but still. Like, what if it was the real dad? They're just, ugh. But yeah, so the book was like, they kind of cut the father's skin and the plant father's skin to see which one bled. And obviously, since the real dad bled red blood instead of green blood, he was the real dad. But what was interesting is that the TV episode kind of had a better version. Well, in a way. There's a different way, which is worse. But in the beginning of the book, it was notable that the dad called her princess, and she didn't like it. So in the end of the TV show, that was how she figured it out. It wasn't with the blood, it was with the princess thing. But in the book, he also calls her princess, but she doesn't really take it into account. So it's kind of like, it didn't really pay off that well. I don't know. Like, that could have just completely been left out. But yeah, so she cuts the plant dad in half, and then everything goes back to normal until the end twist, which is common in the Goosebumps book. This end twist was really weak for me. So she's outside, and then this flower, she hears a voice coming from a flower, and it's like, hey, Margaret, I'm your real dad. So weak. It's just so stupid. Like, I've seen some really good Goosebumps twist endings, and this one is just garbage. Like, they could have done such a better job. Maybe the dad, like, did something that would make him seem like not the real dad. I don't know. Like, they could have paid it off much more better. Like, maybe he could make them that bowl of weird green stuff again and say, here you go, kids, or something like that. I don't know. But, like, the flower thing was stupid. I'm sorry, R.L. Stine. It was stupid. So, now let's talk about the TV show. So, if you haven't seen it, by the time this is up, Goosebumps is probably taken off Netflix, so I'm sorry. Yeah, there's nothing really we can do. I don't think it's on anything else for free. So hopefully you have a DVD or something. But yeah, go pause it, watch it, and then we'll talk about it. Unless you want me to spoil it for you. But technically I already did spoil it because the TV episode is basically exactly the same as the book. Except for like the name change for Dr. Martinez and like She sees his wallet fall instead of discovering it in the basement. Like, little things like that were changed, but nothing really drastic, except for one thing towards the end, which I'll talk about. But yeah, it was basically almost exactly the same, except just worse. The green LED lights that they had in the basement for like a jungle thing, I don't know, it was just really cheesy. It made everything look really cheap. And speaking of horrible, the acting. Oh my god, this is probably the worst acting that I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's worse than junior high play acting. Yeah. And now here's the big thing that I've been teasing throughout this review. Instead of using an axe to cut the father in half, Margaret has weed killer. So there wasn't really any point to the standoff, like, I'm your real dad, I'm your real dad. She could have sprayed them both. You know, because it's weed killer. It's not going to do anything to a person except for maybe make them sick if they have a ton of it on them. But, like, her little amount that she sprayed on the plant dad to kill him, like, she could have just sprayed them both. And there wouldn't have been any tension. Like, it didn't make any sense. Granted, I get why they can't cut somebody in half on a kid's TV show, but, like... But yeah, so that was my review of Goosebumps, Stay Out of the Basement. I would rate the book a 7 out of 10. I thought it was way better than I expected. Like, as a kid, I never read this one because, I don't know, it looks kind of bland. Tim Jacobus does a great job with the cover art, but this one, it just seems a little bland. But it was way better than I expected. So this is my first time reading it, and I really liked it. The only downside was that it was just a little predictable. The TV episode, on the other hand, 3 out of 10. It was just so cringy. So cringy. But some of the effects, like the head opening or whatever, like they used in the Goosebumps intro, that was really good. Some of the effects were really good. But, the acting. So yeah, I tried to make this one a little quicker than the last video, so hopefully you guys tune in next time for the Goosebumps Book Club, where we'll be talking about Monster Blood. See you then. Thanks for watching.